Our next speaker is on Sri Lanka's LMD magazine's Women in Business A-list, also on the A-list of Millennial Torchbearers. She has been a part of the judging panel for the Women in Business Generation Awards and the National Chamber of Exporter Awards. She is a passionate teacher and a remarkable speaker. Any guesses? Yes, it's none other than Ms. Zahara Ansary. Ms. Zahara Ansary is the country manager of SEMA Sri Lanka. She is a management accountant with nearly 2 decades of work experience across banking, business process outsourcing, telecommunication, and professional education. Ms. Zahara is a fellow member of SEMA and is a project management professional of PMI USA. To deliver a keynote on accountants leading governance in the new world, please welcome Ms. Zahara.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for that lovely introduction, and a big thank you to AG, the president of CA, and everybody in CA Maldives for inviting me to be here, and of course, for signing up with us. For the SEMA students and members in this audience, this also means a lot of new beginnings, and for the rest of you, we are waiting for you to come join hands with us and see the new normal. I believe yesterday you heard from this gentleman through a video message. At the point of time that he said this, he was the deputy, but now he is the president. Not just can, but we will change the world. I wish the previous panel was here to perhaps listen to mine and Robin's sessions, because they will see, oh yes, Inaz is here. Inaz is going to do SEMA as well soon, inshallah. So y'all would see how we as accountants can actually contribute towards not just a blue economy, but in transforming the world, and in that process, lead governance as well. Before we lead, we must understand where we are today. Trust, according to a recent OECD Trust in Government survey, showcased that only 4 out of 10 people trust in their national governments. Business leaders are wrestling with the challenge of achieving profitable growth amidst the various challenges like the war in Ukraine, to the effects of the pandemic. 62% of the business leaders surveyed recently said that they're going to pass along the price increases in 2022. And I definitely experienced a little bit of that yesterday while walking in one of the markets. In terms of trade, forecasts for global trades show that it'll slow down as supply chains are still impacted. Economy is compounding from the damage of the pandemic, and of course, we all know things are going to slow down. This is from Edelman's Barometer. And why does this matter to us? We are more and more often being lied to, and that is what we are convinced of. Not just by the journalists and the reporters creating fake news, but also by our country's leaders and business leaders. You financial accountants, management accountants, y'all are going to end up as the leaders in businesses and in organizations. So people believe that we are lying to them. So creating trust is very, very essential. How does all of this impact us in South Asia? The Ukraine conflict has added on to the complexities that we already had, the existing vulnerabilities, some of which was spoken in the previous panel as well. Risk to our region's growth is impacted. And at such a time, what's the future going to hold for us? I want you all to give a little bit of attention to the 4 quadrants here. Yes, we are in 2022, almost on the verge of 2023. Here, I'm trying to think about what 2030 would look like. We don't know. Like, I believe it was Ali Sharif who spoke about it. These 4 scenarios showcase the potential for the future world of our profession, of us as accountants. Each one will help you plan your scenario. If you want to know more about it, the source for the report is also right there. It's from Forces of the Future, a 2022 report done by PwC and AICP and CIMA. So you can think about your organization's options as a portfolio of strategic hedges or options. Scenario 1 is where humans come first. Society first. It's about strong emphasis on ethics and fairness, and in such a world, people and companies will seek greater meaning. You need to understand this bit, and then we move on to the governance. Scenario 2 is where it's all about innovation. So for a company like perhaps Tirago, a telco, where innovation is the must, organizations and individuals will race to give customers what they want. And that would be a world where they would take risks and innovate. Scenario 3 is where companies would be caring. The social responsibility aspect would come in. And in that scenario, trust will be the basic currency underpinning business and employment. Scenario 4, something that we are all used to. Big companies will be the kings. Corporate will be the king. And that is where we will have challenges. But for you accountants in the room, you will need to understand all 4 aspects and figure out which one would work, because not just one would exist. Okay, I'm going to run through this quite fast. So whilst I'm not going to run through the slides, it's just for you to see where we are today, in 2 months to come, and what it's going to be like in 2030. What impacts us today will also impact us in the long term, but there would be newer challenges. So many of you here in the audience, like I do right now, we are finding it very difficult to find talent for our organizations. But when it comes to 2030, your challenge will be whether your people will have the right skills, whether you yourself will have the right skills. Something I always say to my Sri Lankan audiences is that what got you here is not going to keep you here. For you to move on to a different role, for you to prosper, you're going to have to skill up. And you and us as accountants, we have a big role to play because the others look at us. We are the trusted business advisors, whether we are a financial accountant or a management accountant. So the reality of this changing world needs us to continue to raise the bar. We are a profession of leaders, and leaders don't react. We shape, we inspire, we mold the future. And how we respond as a profession when the world is expecting different levels of innovation is tied to technological accountability as well. We deliver through our skills and our experience. We deliver through our expertise, which is why we need to take a bigger role in driving policy change. And I'm sure right here in the Maldives, the team from the Auditor General's Department is doing exactly that. We have to quietly influence policy reforms on key subject matters. My organization, AICP and CIMA, plays a massive role in the EU, in UK, even in countries like Uganda, South Africa, and so on, working with the policy advocates. We build trust in the profession. We promote our credentials and we reskill our talents. And we have to shape the ESG agenda. Things like net zero strategy, like green finance strategy, we have to remain consistent on one messaging. When it comes to sustainability, you don't need to be great to start. You need to start in order to be great. This is the new business integrity. A new stakeholder mindset is how business models change and how we as accountants can drive value to our organizations. It's not just about compliance and risk management, systems or controls. It's about protecting the organization, its assets, and in that process creating value for our stakeholders and our reputation. I'm going to run through the rest of my slides. We know we add value, right? Accountants, finance professionals. So now we need to think about the ways in which we can demonstrate that we actually add value. Finance is at an inflection point right now. The profession is at a once-in-a-generation point, and you as accountants can lead that change. We need to understand our role in this whole thing, our skills. Let me just quickly go into the other slide. So corporate reporting is changing. Yesterday's focus that was on financial statements, I'm not talking about yesterday's conference, but in the past, we accountants used to look at financial statements, but now it's about integrated reporting. So whether you're a financial accountant or a management accountant, you have a massive role to play. Here on the slide, you would see how we at the association have already started reporting. So perhaps if CA Maldives has not done that already, maybe this is a challenge for you to start looking at creating integrated reporting, starting from the organization itself, and perhaps across board. And underlying all of this is the code of ethics. To safeguard public interest, they need to trust us, like I said again. So we need to have a set of code of ethics that we would follow. So in terms of AICP and CIMA, we are here to support CA Maldives and yourselves in every possible way. And we do that because we support our own members and our students. In 2017, CIMA, as you would know it, tied up with the American Institute of CPAs, and we created the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Yes, a mouthful to say, but now we are the leading, largest, and the most influential professional body in the world. And we are present in over 196 countries, creating local and global opportunities, and in the process, rethinking, reshaping, and reimagining the profession. So whilst I invite you to join us on board, if you haven't, remember, you are the leaders of the profession. Finance professionals are no longer seated behind. We lead from the front, and that's my invite to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zahara, for your words of wisdom. May I kindly request Council Member of CA Maldives, Mr. Ahmad Salah, to present the speaker with a token of appreciation. Ms. Zahara and Ms. Ahmad Salah.